Blue, what makes me super like proud and like, you know, I still get goosebumps seeing her walk on stage is because Blue's been born into this world that she didn't act. She's been born into a life she didn't act. So since she was born, she's been in like public eye and everyone having an opinion of, you know, even a little girl, how she keeps her hair. So for her to be on that stage and reclaim her power, and the song is called My Power, and like it just, you can't write a better script. And then watching her grow in it. You know, she came out, she's 80,000 people, she's 11, so she's nervous. She's looking like,
was she nervous?
I know her.
She didn't look nervous.
I know her.
Yeah, I know
so
you
I
do.
know how nervous she was. You know, I
Yes.
know how frightened she was. She wanted to do it, and she worked every day and watched her work hard. She had like a little icy pack thing on her back some days.
For most people, it was just another Met Gala moment. A mother, a daughter, flashbulbs, couture, smiles. But online, people saw something else. Because after disappearing from the Met for nearly a decade, Beyoncé didn't just return. She returned with Blue Ivy. And then she said the words that sent social media into a spiral. She was ready. Ready for what? Because once that clip hit the internet, what started as red carpet gossip became something much darker. And the deeper people looked, the worse it got. At first, it sounded harmless, but that sentence would become the center of a much bigger conspiracy. Because this wasn't just any red carpet appearance. According to online critics, Blue's presence felt unusually symbolic, not casual, not spontaneous, staged. Some viewers pointed to the way the family was positioned, others fixated on styling details. And in certain corners of the internet, the theories became disturbingly extreme. To them, this didn't feel like a celebrity family sharing a milestone. It felt like a presentation. And that's where the conversation took a dangerous turn. But this wasn't the first time Beyoncé was accused of pushing Blue into the spotlight too fast. Long before the Met Gala, critics had already been sounding alarms. When Blue appeared at the Lion King premiere, many viewers were stunned by how mature the styling looked for her age. Then came the Renaissance tour. To fans, it was a proud family moment. To critics, it was something else entirely. Because once Blue stepped onto that stage, people online started asking a harder question. Was this confidence being nurtured, or was childhood being accelerated? That's a painful question in Hollywood, because entertainment history is filled with young stars who were celebrated in public and broken in private. And that pattern is exactly why this story hits such a nerve.
And everyone's been talking about it because it seemed to the masses that Beyonce was auctioning off Blue. And honestly, I don't doubt that theory. A lot of y'all had some good points that I've seen in some videos on this discussion, and I wrote them down and I'm going to go over a few of them. One of the main points that I seen was that Blue's shoes matched with Beyonce's dress, symbolizing that she was walking in her mother's shoes now. And I thought that was very interesting to see because her shoes really did match her mother's dress. I don't know what it didn't even correlate with her dress. Also, side note, I thought it was so coincidental that Beyonce's headpiece was in my dream that I had about her that I spoke to you guys about before, where she was on that stage levitating and doing some demonic ritual thing. But it was gold in my dream. And when I seen this in real life, I gasped. I was like, that was in my dream. It was something ritualistic about that. And she was like doing some hypnosis sort of demonic activity. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. Something else people have been saying is that Sasha Fierce has been being transferred, or has been transferred to Blue because you notice this sort of aura that Blue is giving, this confidence that usually Beyonce would carry, but it would look like she was sad, nervous, shaky, and down and about something. It just seemed off. But Blue just was like ready. Another thing people kept pointing out is that she did keep pointing everything back to Blue. She kept saying, she's ready. Blue's ready. Yeah, I'm here for Blue. I'm looking through the eyes of Blue. That was signaling something so much more deeper, actually, once she started to refer to everything concerning Blue. And then another thing that people noticed is that Blue was wearing a wedding-like dress, and Jay-Z was looking like a groom. Like he was dressed like a groom, as if he was marrying his daughter off. And people have considered that to be them marrying her off to the industry because Beyonce's dress symbolized death of some sort. Like it's the end of her, but the beginning of Blue's notoriety and career. And
One person said, no, it's her initiation.
Fans weren't just reacting to one event. They were reacting to a pattern they thought they'd seen before. That's what made this story bigger than Beyonce. Because once people started connecting Blue's public appearances to the histories of other young celebrities, the conversation widened fast. Justin Bieber, Corey Feldman, Amanda Bynes, Aaron Carter. Different industries, different eras, but in the public imagination, the same fear keeps resurfacing. What happens when fame finds a child before adulthood does? And in the age of viral analysis, people don't just watch celebrity culture anymore, they investigate it. Which is exactly why the Met Gala clip exploded. Because to many viewers, it didn't feel isolated. It felt like another chapter in a much darker Hollywood story. Then another voice entered the conversation, and things got even more volatile. Tokyo Toni didn't just criticize Beyonce, she detonated the conversation. In a series of fiery remarks, she accused Beyonce of using Blue as a symbol, a brand extension, even a warning sign for other children watching. Her words were chaotic, extreme, and for many people, completely over the line. But online, outrage has a strange effect. The more inflammatory the claim, the faster it spreads. At the time, plenty of viewers dismissed Tokyo Toni as attention-seeking. Others said she was saying out loud what some people had already been whispering. And whether people agreed with her or not, one thing was obvious. She had tapped into a fear that was already there. Most people thought the story would die there. It didn't. Because weeks later, Tokyo Toni doubled down. In another interview, her rhetoric escalated from criticism to prophecy. She dragged Jay-Z into it. She suggested power had made them feel untouchable, and she claimed accountability was coming. Now, none of that proves anything, But in celebrity culture, proof is often the last thing the internet waits for. What matters first is momentum. And momentum was building. Because by then, this wasn't just about Beyoncé's parenting choices. It was becoming a full-blown theory about power, protection, and what some people believe happens behind closed doors in entertainment. Then, viewers started revisiting the Met Gala footage frame by frame, and that's when the symbolism theories exploded. Some people online focused on Blue's expression. Others focused on the wardrobe, the shoes, the posture, the way Beyoncé kept redirecting attention back to her daughter. To many, it was simply a proud mother celebrating a major moment, but to others, it felt ceremonial. Some theorists claimed Blue's styling suggested she was stepping into Beyoncé's image. Others pushed even darker interpretations, describing the appearance like a public handoff, almost a passing of the torch. Again, those are allegations in internet theories, but the reason they spread so fast is because they touched a deeper anxiety. Not fame, inheritance.
Dress-wearing people before him.
Definitely haven't ran into to put on the dress. I mean, you have to have boundaries. You have to have limits that you refuse to cross.
Wow, wow, wow. I don't think anyone saw this one.
No one in Hollywood has a memory of going to a sold-out Kevin Hart show. Have we heard of a comedian that came to L.A. and in his first year in L.A. he had his own sitcom on network television and had his own movie called Soul Plane that he was leading? No, we've never heard of that before that person or since that person.
And then people noticed the language, not just the visuals, the language. She was ready. That became the phrase everyone couldn't stop replaying, because in ordinary context, it sounds innocent, a compliment, a mother being proud. But in a conspiracy-driven media environment, innocent phrases don't stay innocent for long. Many viewers noticed how often the moment was framed around Blue's readiness, Blue's presence, Blue's perspective. And according to some online commentators, that repetition felt loaded. Not because of what was said directly, but because of what people thought it implied. And once a phrase becomes a symbol, the internet will build an entire mythology around it. That's exactly what happened here.
What do you think a plant is?
My frustration with Katt Williams comes from, you keep pointing at Hollywood. Hollywood this, the white man, this, and this. When do you take responsibility for your actions? You had the shot.
Katt was in that position at one point.
You were the guy. You were set up to be the star. You didn't show up to work. You fucked off promo shoots. You fucked off your promo fucking trips that they had set up for you. You became a risk to the studios, which is why the studios stopped fucking with you.
Why was he a risk?
He chose drugs.
Now, when it comes to his thoughts on Blue,
But this is where things get more disturbing. Because people weren't only dissecting Blue. They were dissecting Beyoncé herself. The outfits became their own controversy. One look, critics said, echoed imagery associated with death, particularly after online users linked it to artwork featuring a skeletal feminine figure at a doorway. Inside the gala, the second look triggered even more commentary. Long nails, sharp detailing, crystal patterns, severe silhouette. To fashion insiders, it was avant-garde. To conspiracy-minded viewers, it was ritualistic. That distinction matters, because in celebrity culture, symbolism is a battlefield. One person sees couture, another sees coded messaging. And when an audience already believes there's something darker under the surface, every design choice starts to look like a confession. Then, the theories made an even bigger leap, because people started connecting this moment to a much wider industry narrative. For years, Hollywood and the music industry have been surrounded by whispers. Whispers about gatekeepers, humiliation rituals, career bargains, power systems no one can prove, but millions endlessly speculate about. That's why names like Diddy, Jay-Z, Clive Davis, Usher, Bieber, Cassie, Jaguar Wright, even Epstein comparisons keep surfacing in the same online ecosystem. Not because the claims are all the same, they're not, but because people increasingly believe these stories are connected by one theme: power protects itself. And once viewers placed Beyoncé in blue inside that larger framework, the Met Gala stopped looking like an isolated event. To them, it became a symbol of the machine,